Okay, students, in the previous class, I told you the absorption of water. Okay, the absorption of water by plants it occurs by two important methods. One is called as apoplast pathway, and another one is called as the symplast pathway. Right, and here in the given diagram, okay, they have given the transfer section of the root here or transfer dicot root. They have shown the lines here about the symplastic path as well as the apoplastic path. Okay, that means how the water will move from root hairs into the vascular cylinder like xylem. Okay, how it will cross the epidermis, then cortex part, then the endodermis, as well as the finally the xylem, right? And here apoplastic apoplast pathway, okay, it is shown by brown color and in the next diagram, and the simplest pathway is shown by light yellow color, right? And finally, uh, what are the different cells are there? Epidermis, then cortex, then endodermis, then pericycle. Okay, then finally xylem, and other labelings are the plasmodesmata, then cell membrane or plasma membrane, right? And let us understand the how the apoplastic movement of water occurs. Okay, and here we need to understand what is the apoplastic movement, right? And here it is nothing but the system of adjacent cell walls. Okay, the system of adjacent cell walls that is continuous except are the Casparian strips of the endodermis in the roots, right? And here in the roots, okay, in the endodermal region, okay, and already you have studied about the anatomical aspects, right? I told you to understand the transport in plants, what is necessary to understand the plant cell structure as well as the anatomy of plants, okay. And here Casparian strips will be present in the endodermis, right? Endodermis means what here? When you take a transfer section of the root, okay, we observe three important parts. Like one is epidermis, then second one is cortex, then third one is endodermis. Okay, the cortex, then third region is the stele or stellar region, right? And here endodermis means what here? They are nothing but the innermost layer of the cortex. Okay, the innermost layer of the cortex is called as endodermis. Okay, it will be present in both the dicot as well as the monocot roots. Okay, and in both the cases in both the dicot as well as the monocots, we find the presence of Casparian strips or Casparian bands. Okay, and here uh, it is nothing but what here? They are deposited with the chemical substance called as the suberin. Okay, chemical substance called as the suberin, right? And here how the apoplast occurs? Okay, it occurs exclusively through the intercellular spaces. Okay, it occurs exclusively through the intercellular spaces and the walls of the cells. Okay, walls means what here? Cell walls. Okay, intercellular space, it means the space present in between the cells. Okay, it is called as intercellular space. Okay, it occurs exclusively through the intercellular spaces and the walls of the cells, right? And it does not cross the cell membrane. And here during apoplastic pathway, the water will not pass the or cross the cell membrane or plasma membrane. Okay, how the water will move here? It will move exclusively through the intercellular spaces and the walls of the cells. Okay, this is important point here, right? And let us move on to uh, the next point. Okay, regarding the apoplast only, water movement through apoplast is dependent on gradient. Okay, dependent on the gradient and occurs through mass flow. Okay, gradient means what here? It is nothing but from higher concentration to the lower concentration, right? Water movement through apoplast is dependent on the gradient and occurs through mass flow. Okay, it means it will move in bulk, right, through the intercellular spaces, right? And here one more thing is uh, the as the water evaporates. Okay, and here whatever the water content is there in the leaf. Okay, sorry, as water evaporates into the intercellular spaces or the atmosphere. Okay, and now this sentence is related to the leaves here. Okay, it will evaporate into the intercellular spaces in the mesophyll cells. Finally water can move outside means what here, to the atmosphere. Okay, when water content is will move to the atmosphere, some kind of tension develops in the continuous stream of water. Okay, continuous stream of water in the apoplast. Okay, and this is called as the transpiration pull. Okay, this tension is called as the transpiration pull, and because of this reason, mass flow of water occurs due to the adhesive and cohesive properties of water. Okay, in xylem vessels, what will be there? The water molecules will show the adhesive as well as the cohesive properties. Okay, because of this only the water will move in upward direction. Okay, and here in the leaves the transpiration pull or tension will be created, and that move into the remaining part. Okay, and in the remaining part in the xylem, water molecules will be there. They will show the adhesive and cohesive properties of water, right? And here one more point. Okay, the next one is called as the Symplast pathway. Okay, Symplast. Okay, what is the meaning of Symplast here? Okay, it is nothing but the system of interconnected protoplasts. Okay, system of interconnected protoplasts, we call it as the Symplast, right? And this Symplast will be present throughout the plant. Okay, throughout the plant, it means the protoplasmic connections will be present throughout the plant. Okay, from one cell to another, right? Okay, so we call it as the symplastic system or pathway. Okay, now when compared to the apoplastic pathway, what is the difference here? What is the difference here? Okay, what is the first point here? It is the system of interconnected protoplasts. Okay, and in this pathway the water travels, okay, or moves through the cytoplasm. Okay, then intercellular movement is through the plasmodesmata. Okay, intercellular means what here? From one cell to another. Okay, it will travel through the cytoplasm, and intercellular movement is through the plasmodesmata, right? And plasmodesmata means what here? They are nothing but the cytoplasmic strands which connects the neighboring cells. Okay, or we can say that neighboring cells are connected through cytoplasmic strands that extend through the plasmodesmata, right? Okay, and here the junction between neighboring cells through which cytoplasm extend, they mentioned like this. Okay, and here uh, the other point, in case of Symplast, water has to enter the cells through the cell membrane. Okay, hence the movement is said to be slower. Okay, when compared to the apoplastic movement, in case of Symplast, okay, water has to enter the cells through the cell membrane, and hence the movement will be slower, right? And movement is down a potential gradient. Okay, movement is down a potential gradient. Okay, that is from higher water potential or higher chemical potential to the lower chemical potential or water potential, right? And one more thing is the symplastic movement. Okay, the symplastic movement may be aided, it may be aided by cytoplasmic streaming. Cytoplasmic streaming. Okay, and what is the meaning of cytoplasmic streaming here? It is nothing but the movement of the cytoplasm. Okay, movement of the cytoplasm within the cell. Okay, and that cytoplasm may move in two directions. Okay, one is clockwise direction and another one is the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, for this process we call it as the cytoplasmic streaming. Okay, and here to understand the process, okay, symplastic movement may be aided or is it is assisted by the cytoplasmic movement. Okay, imagine that when the water enters the cell, okay, and it crosses from one cell to the another cell. While crossing inside the cell or inside the cytoplasm, there is a movement called as the cytoplasmic streaming, right? And here I told you cytoplasmic streaming may occur in clockwise direction or in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, to observe the this process cytoplasmic streaming, okay, we can uh, perform a small experiment, right? What example they have given in hydrilla leaf. Okay, hydrilla, remember, hydrilla is an aquatic plant. Okay, hydrilla is an aquatic plant. Okay, and it shows the formation of small leaves at the nodal region. Okay, and if we pluck, okay, one leaf, and when we keep that leaf on a slide containing a drop of water, and when we observe that leaf under the microscope, okay, under the microscope we observe that in the leaf cells, okay, the protoplasm or the cytoplasm will be moving, and because of the movement of cytoplasm, and in that cells the chloroplasts also show some kind of movement. Okay, and based on that observation we can tell that the cytoplasm shows the movement or the streaming. Okay, because of the movement of the cytoplasm only, the chloroplasts, okay, the photosynthetic organelle, okay, it also moves in the cells. Okay, it is clearly visible under the microscope or the compound microscope, right? Okay, and here what is the difference here? Now we can compare. In apoplast, the water will move through the intercellular spaces and the walls of the cells. But here, in case of the symplast, the water will cross the cells. Okay, it will move into the cells. Okay, through the cell membrane. Again, it will move to the another cell through the plasmodesmata. Right? Okay, this kind of movement is called as the symplastic movement. Okay, but when compared to apoplast, it will be little bit slow only, right? Water has to enter the cells through the cell membrane, hence the movement is relatively slower in case of symplast, right? Okay, and finally what we have studied here, symplastic movement may be aided by cytoplasmic streaming, right? And here to observe this one, we are going to perform a small experiment. It means we are going to take the small leaves of a hydrilla plant, and we are going to keep one leaf on a slide, and we are going to add a drop of water, and finally we are going to observe that slide under the microscope. Okay, when we observe under the microscope, the we can observe the movement of chloroplast inside the cell. Okay, why the chloroplast will move here? It is mainly because of the cytoplasmic streaming. Cytoplasmic streaming, right? Okay, then this is about the symplast, right? And here uh, uh, but the thing is, okay, when we compare both the uh, absorption mechanisms like apoplast and the symplast. Okay, normally most of the water flow in the roots. Okay, normally most of the water flow in the roots occurs via or through the apoplast, since the cortical cells are loosely packed. Okay, it means what here, majority of the water flow in the roots, it occurs through the apoplast since the cortical cells are loosely packed. Okay, so water can move without the resistance or without any barrier, right? Okay, and however, okay, endodermis is impervious to water. Okay, and in the endodermal region, we call it as the impervious. Okay, endodermis is impervious to water. It means what here, it will not allow the water to pass through it. Okay, it is mainly because of the presence of casparian strips or casparian bands, right? It is nothing but what here, a band of suberized matrix. Okay, this material suberin, because of the presence of suberin, it will not allow the water to pass through it. So water, again water molecules are directed to non-subarite wall regions. Okay, and here in the endodermis only we observe some non-subarite wall regions. It means what here? In this concept they are not given clearly. Okay, but when we study the anatomy of the roots we will come to know, right? And in the endodermal cells some thin cells will be there. Okay, they are called as the passage cells. Okay, through the passage cells the water can move from endodermis into the stellar part or pericycle part. Okay, and remember these passage cells are more distinct in case of monocot roots. Okay, but they are less distinct in case of dicot roots. Okay, in young dicot root the passage cells will be there. Okay, but in old dicot roots the passage cells will be absent. Okay, in that situation all the endodermal cells may pass the water, right? Okay. uh, but that information is not given in the textbook, right? And one more thing is the water then moves through the symplast. Okay, finally the water then moves through the symplast and again crosses a membrane to reach the xylem. Okay, and this is about the symplastic pathway, right? And here uh, finally the water movement through the root layers is ultimately symplastic. The water movement through the root layers is ultimately said to be symplastic in the endodermis. This is the only way water and solutes can enter the vascular cylinder. Okay. Finally, by which method water can enter from uh, endodermis or from cortex region into the vascular cylinder? Finally, it goes through the symplast only, right? Symplast only, right? Okay, and in case of young roots, okay, in case of young roots water enters directly into the xylem vessels and tracheids. Okay, in very young roots the water can directly enter into the xylem vessels and the tracheids. Okay, vessels and tracheids both are called as the tracheary elements. Okay, and these are non-living conduits and so parts of the apoplast. Okay, when we consider xylem vessels and tracheids are the parts of the apoplast only, right? Okay. Then let us move on to the one more concept. Okay, in the last paragraph, okay, how the uh, absorption of water is increased. Okay, in plants, how it will be increased. Okay, it is mainly due to the presence of mycorrhiza. Okay, uh, listen here. This is one special aspect what I told you, how the water absorption is increased by or through the association of mycorrhiza, right? And here some plants, okay, some plants will be having additional structures for water and mineral absorption. Okay, water and mineral absorption, say for example mycorrhiza. Okay, and in the given diagram, okay, and in the given diagram you can observe here, okay, the structure of mycorrhiza. Okay, how it will infect the root part and helps in the absorption of water and the minerals, right? Okay. And next point, okay, mycorrhiza, what is the definition here? A symbiotic association of a fungus. Okay, a symbiotic association of a fungus with a root system. Okay, and in PU2 again we are going to study this concept. Okay, and remember not all the fungal members will show the symbiotic association with the plants, only few genera. Okay, one common genus is the glomus. Okay, it will form the symbiotic association with the plants, right? Okay, then fungal filaments. Okay, and these fungal filaments they form a network around the young root. Okay, they will form a network around the young root or they penetrate the root cells. Okay, then hyphae absorb mineral ions. Okay, hyphae will help for the absorption of mineral ions and water from the soil. Okay, and in turn, okay, what is the benefit of a plant to the fungus? Okay, and here I told you it is nothing but the symbiotic association. It means both the organisms are benefited here. Okay, and the plant will take some help from the fungus, and in turn the fungus will take some help from the plants, right? Fungi, the infection of fungi with the root, it helps in the absorption of water and minerals, and in turn the roots will provide sugars and nitrogen compounds to the fungus or to the mycorrhizae, right? And finally, one more example is there. Some plants have obligate association with the mycorrhizae. Obligate association means what here? The organism will not survive without the infection of this fungus, right? Some plants have an obligate association with the mycorrhizae. Say for example, pinus. Okay, pinus seeds cannot germinate. Pinus seeds cannot germinate and establish without mycorrhizae, right? If mycorrhizae is not there, pinus seeds they won't germinate. They won't germinate, right? Okay. uh, and in the next concept, okay, we are going to study one more concept called as water movement up a plant. Water movement up a plant. Okay. I will explain it in the next class. Thank you.